broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. Our next guests are a rock band from Madison, Wisconsin. Their latest album, Funeral on the Beach, came out November 26th. I'd like to welcome Free Dirt to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. And this was kind of a while in the making. You guys were scheduled to come on when the album was being released, and unfortunately, tragedy struck.
Well, no, I'm okay now. But
the C word.
I did have a bout of the COVID there for a bit.
Did you have any inkling of like a thought of maybe we'll just try to do this? I just won't tell anybody about it.
Not that specifically, but I got it pretty early in the week, and I was like, well, if I can beat it and get a couple negative tests, then we're gonna rock this thing out. And well, I beat it eventually. That's got to count for something. It's
a weird thing with COVID, especially if you don't get tested and you don't know if you're obviously way better than it was when it was going on, but now it's still, you've got that stigma where if you've got a runny nose or coughing, you wonder if people around you are going to think that you're hiding. So,
no doubt. Yeah.
But how did that throw a wrench into your album release show?
Very thoroughly.
Grabbed the wrench, smacked it.
And did you have any, because you were supposed to play Cranky Pat's that night with Crib Shitter, which was going to be a great show.
Exceptionally excited about that venue, that lineup, and that show. A lot of the release schedule for our album was sort of built around that show. So the album sort of dropped the following Tuesday, and more like it plopped. It wasn't a record drop. It was a record plop. It was like, and people were like, "Hey, not bad." But we love it.
Well, if people want to hear names, if names are mentioned, we have Robbie here on the far, I guess that'd be the left. Robbie's the vocalist and guitarist. We've got Chris in the middle there, hits the drums, and we've got Joe here on bass over on the far right.
Baritone
guitar.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you about that later.
You're allowed.
He doesn't even know how to play bass.
Can't figure out 4 strings.
So how many albums is this for Free Dirt? Is this number 3?
This is number 3.
People from Appleton might realize that your voice sounds familiar because you were the front person for the Blueheels for a long time.
I mean, technically, I still am.
Mm-hmm. So the band never technically disbanded.
We are, well, I don't want to give too much away, but there might be more Blueheels things that happen in the future. 2025 is going to be our year.
News to me, too.
So where are you playing?
I don't know. The last time we released an album was in, I think, 2016, and someone commented, like, "Oh, it's great. I think it might be my favorite one." And our drummer was like, "Yeah, just can't wait for the next one to come out in 2025," as a joke. And now, we're kind of just like, maybe we should do it. Otherwise, that joke's not funny.
There's songs, though, right?
Oh, there's songs.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Blueheels.
Call in if you're going to call in. Call in, request.
Call in about
Blueheels shows.
Well, and so the Blueheels broke up and or disbanded, stopped playing. And was that the start of Free Dirt?
Not necessarily. I think
there's a long time between.
Yeah, Blueheels kind of petered out as being like an active band that still kind of did some stuff together long distance and made connections. And then Robbie and Chris had been playing together just in his basement a bunch for fun for a few years. And then Robbie and I were in a different band together and we're good buds, where he played drums. And then them two started kind of playing a little bit more seriously together, Robbie and Chris. And I joined them, and Free Dirt started.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
So obviously the three of you had a chemistry right off the bat.
Just gonna leave all the jokes on the table for that. Just every single one.
Your first release was 2019, Pink Floyd on Ice.
Mm-hmm. And that was super fun. We did that here in Appleton with Riley Crow at the Refuge. Yeah. It feels like so insanely long
That
ago.
felt like a
all,
lifetime
all of
ago.
our COVID has gut punched us a couple of times specifically. We like when we started, we were like, we got so many songs, we're gonna be so prolific, we're gonna have like an album a year, and it just
Three is still a good milestone to get to. That's
yeah,
a
three's
pretty
not
big.
bad, and I think we kind of agree that this is the best of the best. Still listen to all of them, if I'm being honest. That might not be like a cool thing to say, but I listen to our music quite a bit.
First one was super fun too. We did it with
Prince
Riley.
did it.
Did it with Riley in the secondary building next to the main building at the refuge, and it was wild and fun. Tracked in a bathroom at one point in time with everyone inside the shower. Real late night. It was a great time. These loose, long sessions and tons of fun.
We saw a bald eagle scoop fish out of the river
Scoop a
right
critter
after we
out.
were done.
Yeah.
Truly,
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and then it like dropped it at our feet and was like, "Great record! You did it! Congratulations!" Oh, it's incredible.
Do you remember how long you spent tracking at the refuge?
For that first album,
a long weekend.
yeah, it was. It was a couple long weekends. The three of us for one, and then I think we went back for like 2 follow-up sessions.
Yeah, one of them was just you and Riley doing the finishing touches. One of them was for some punches, and then that first weekend for the main tracks. But yeah, that one was pretty concise.
You didn't run into any trouble on the album cover, did you?
Yes,
Because I noticed there's
Yes,
two
we did.
versions of that album cover. One is like not the original, so I didn't know if can you tell me about what happened?
I mean, Joe could tell you more because he was the one who like got into it with the people from Spotify.
It was a
about it.
Spotify issue where the album's called Pink Floyd on Ice, and it was written in like a Disney font, but Robbie had done the font by hand, and we were getting so much pushback from Spotify being like, you can't call your album Pink Floyd, like you can't use the name. And I kept being like, you can't like say we can't use the words Pink and Floyd. Like, I was just pushing back. Finally, I was like, whatever, and just put like redacted black bars on each word. And at the very end, I asked him if we could call it Van Halen on Ice, just being obtuse, and she, I think, about lost her mind.
Laughing.
Well, oh yeah,
She was having so much fun dealing with you. She was our old.
She shut us down. Yeah.
Well, then the second album you had "Knock Me on the Head" as a single release and a video, which you guys haven't done a whole lot of videos, have you?
No,
It takes a lot of work.
And that was
Lots of
a-
ideas. It may come as a shock to learn that we are not full-time professional musicians. We all have square jobs and we have families and stuff to do, and we put as much of ourselves into this as we can. And I'm very happy with the results, and I think we come up with some really special stuff. But sometimes it just takes a long time.
Videos is not the one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a music video idea and you're like, well, but we have all these music ideas, and that's what we do is we make music together. And
Right.
like, videos are fun, but we aren't as good at that. And it's just a lot of work that we could spend those hours making more music. Not that we won't ever make a music video again, but that is often what
Nope, that's the scoop here today. We will never make another
No.
music video.
And actually, Ridley, who made that video, who we're playing with this evening, he made
At
that
Cranky
video
Pats.
and like forced it upon us nicely. Like, we would not have had a video had he not driven down to our practice space and been like, "Hey, play this song a few times, and I'm going to film you so you have a video." So that was a
I
very
think
nice
that was a
of
bit
him.
of the Boy Howdy promotional machine at work too.
It was, absolutely.
Because our second album, Spaghetti and Mothballs, was
A Boy Howdy
it was a
production.
Boy Howdy production officially. The first one is too, absolutely.
So for that one, you had a plate of spaghetti with some mothballs on it. Was that a picture that you guys took yourselves?
No, we did like a whole.
It was professionally shot.
That's
through-
powered by Amazon.
It was.
It was
yes.
powered.
It was shot at the Shot Bop Studios in Madison there. So, but yes, the idea was ours, and the session was done there. The photographer was Joey. Is that correct?
Joey was the
Artistic
Artistic
director.
yeah. There was like 3
Okay.
people involved. It was a bigger deal than we expected it to be.
Yeah, we kind of thought maybe we were just gonna. These people with nice cameras were gonna help us out a little bit, but they had like a whole lighting studio and all this stuff. Like you could tell, because it was a Shop Bop and an Amazon thing, and these are creative people who like got into this line of work because they're into creative things and into fashion and like photo shoots and all this. And you could tell this was like them kind of cutting loose.
Yeah.
Because it was purely a creative enterprise. There was no like, I know we didn't make any money off of it.
We didn't give them any money.
Look,
It was just pure creativity.
so that catches us up to the latest release, which is a great album. The sound of it, it's a bigger sound than your previous releases. So I wanted to ask, was that something you guys went into recording this, like we want to make this sound bigger than our past releases, or is that just how the songs ended up being written?
I think a lot of it has to do with how little it was touched. Like the joke of the Pink Floyd on Ice album title is like the whole time we were like, we're just going to play the songs, like straight takes,
Just us three.
simple recording, just the three of us. We're not making Pink Floyd on Ice. I would walk around saying that nonsense phrase. And then by the end of the album, we had actually put a lot of bells and whistles on it and like done a lot of production things. And so we, as a little joke for ourselves, just decided to call the album Pink Floyd on Ice. And a joke for that nice lady at Spotify.
Which Joe had to deal with for a while.
We also spent a lot of time weezering up the guitars and doing stuff like that. And it was more like song by song. It wasn't like we went into the record being like, we want it to sound a certain way. It's like, this song, it needs to just be like big and chunky. So we're going to make it sound like that as much as we can and spend a lot of time doing stuff like that.
Did you guys do this album at the blasting room? Or
Blast House.
Blast House.
Yeah.
It's a whole house.
So it looks, and it looks like I saw some video. You guys added some other stuff to it at a house. So you didn't do everything at the Blast House.
That was at my house, yeah. We did strings at my place. We did horns at my place. My living room's got a decent vault ceiling, so we brought in an engineer from down in Madison to come in and engineer some sessions, and so we did all that in my living room. We also did a lot of percussion at my house. Did a couple rounds of percussion at Joe's house, out in the garage, getting
Late
devoured.
night triangle session.
Yes, devoured by mosquitoes. Too hot to shut the door, though.
Yep.
Yeah, so we utilized the house quite a bit, and it was awesome. It was some of the funnest sessions and the sweetest people to work with. It was awesome.
It turned out phenomenal, and it
Thank
really
you.
gets me thinking, like, stuff that sounds like you had to go to a studio in the past, you're getting those sounds at your house, which
Yeah.
to me is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
I think a lot of, and we were kind of talking about this in the van on the way up here. A lot of what you get when you pay for a studio recording is just that person who is going to be able to solve every problem immediately. Whereas with home recording, we had some nights working on Funeral where like we got maybe half a tambourine track done, and the rest of it was technical difficulties.
I'm gonna pull that curtain
and
back
problem
here a little
solving.
bit. Both of them.
There weren't a lot of nights like that, but it was an obvious contrast, and I think there's value to having a tempo to the work, like being able to keep up the pace of the technology with the pace of the ideas that you're having, and not having to get tangled up in it.
Bogged down. Yeah.
Funeral on the Beach is a title which can seem kind of sad at first read. Why did you settle on that as the title of the album?
Well, it was the name of the song, and I think fairly early on, we decided that we wanted that song to kind of open the album, and then I had the image in my head for like the album cover, and that I got a real kick out of. Like I thought that was really funny, and so since there was that element of it being funny and sad, and just kind of not like one emotion. I always hate when musicians or bands or whatever just kind of pick one way to feel or one emotion to express, and I feel like humor is something that's avoided a lot in music, especially when people want to be considered like art or whatever. And I feel like that's such a mistake because like you're removing an entire aspect of life and reality and just saying like, oh no, that has no place in my highfalutin art. So I don't know. And I think we do a very good job of balancing elements and having it be a fun ride.
We're basically a comedy troupe on the side as well. It felt like part of the situation for a period of time too. We were making as many funny things as we were music for a hot minute there.
There's a lyric in Funeral on the Beach, who brings a baby to a funeral and what does a baby have to cry about? So when you're listening to your lyrics, it's obvious that you spend a lot of time like writing the lyrics. You're not taking and I'll ask you about your song your approach to songwriting later, but it's obvious to me that you're not just making sounds and then plugging in words that sound like the cadence. They're thought out lyrics.
It's all the stuff. Sometimes I'll just start making noises. There's a song on on Pink Floyd on Ice called, what is it actually called? Not Easily Distracted.
Middle name.
My middle name. And that song was actually written, lyrics and all, lyrics, melody, bridge, everything in the time that it takes to play it. We just started strumming a C, and I started spouting those words. They happened to make sense, and the song existed. That doesn't happen all the time, and it's not the best song I've ever written.
It's not on the set list for anyone who's coming out tonight.
Yeah, it didn't make it onto the set
You
list
didn't
tonight.
go, no, I don't want that. You said, oh, that came out. That was good.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Right.
need to be heady or whatever.
No, that's fun.
We didn't blow it away.
Let's just stick with that. So, and sometimes I do legitimately just we'll jam in the basement and I'll sing nonsense, and if it sounds like a word, I'll be like, oh, cool, and then maybe you chase that a little bit, and that turns into a phrase that makes sense. I don't really worry too much about things making sense most of the time. I used to be very interested, like you brought up Blueheels. Blueheels was a very I wanted those songs to be pretty story driven and kind of like you could tell what was going on. Whereas the Free Dirt songs have always had more of like a impressionistic and slightly surreal, like different people could listen to Funeral on the Beach and come away thinking different things were happening in the song, taking this part literally and this one figuratively or however.
Well, I wish I would have.
Did I answer your question?
You did. No,
Roll that tape back.
I wish
Do we
I
have a call?
I wish I would have written down what song specifically besides that, because there was another song. I was listening to your lyric and you used a word that I instantly started to wonder, what's he going to rhyme that with? I wonder what he's going to rhyme that with. But your cadence of how you did the wording, like they were long sentences, and again, I regret not writing it down, but I don't remember what you rhymed it with, but it fit perfectly. It made sense, and it was obvious. It wasn't just cobbled together to, you've got other songs like I Miss Smoking, I Still Love, and
Yeah, I love that song too. We're going to play that one tonight.
Yeah.
that's a classic.
Bring
That's
it back out. Classic status.
But there's other songs that I tried to write notes about, like Holy Buckets. That song has a lot of, sounds like it's got a lot going on. And
As
it's,
far as like content or what the narrator is thinking.
well, that and just lots of instruments,
the
lots of
yeah,
sounds.
yeah.
And there's like the callback singing, where you kind of, I guess it would be called callback, where you sing
The
something
call and
and then
response,
it's,
yep.
call and response. I mean, that was something that I didn't hear so heavily used on your prior releases. It was kind of, it made this album sound different, refreshing, and it wasn't the same as what you guys have done in the past. You're checking out new territory.
Instrumentation wise as well too, there's a lot going on there. Multiple mandolin tracks, multiple string tracks,
Steel drums.
horn tracks.
How do you
steel
replicate
drum
that when
from we won't tonight, but I'd love to. Yeah,
We
I
don't even bother trying.
Ridley though, he's pretty multi-talented. We might
Right.
be able to yank him up and have him do a couple different things. But yeah, we sent that track down to Tennessee to have a friend of ours do steel drum on it, and then every instrument that appears on the record.
All the best steel
is on
drummers
that.
live in Tennessee.
They do.
Session players.
Yeah.
Session guys.
He's a session steel guy.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
You should hear him play Thunderstruck.
So you guys weren't worried about replicating everything?
No,
we can't
we-
write this because we can't play it live ever.
I think when the first moment we went into the studio, we were like, if we can't recreate it, that's fine. We love the way we sound live, and there's something great about it just being two different things. At least sometimes. There are songs on Funeral that we can pretty much replicate perfectly.
Well, that was kind of
Live.
back to your first question about if this record was any different than those other ones going into it. Yes, there was an intention there for this to be a little bit more of a thought out studio, multi-layer, multi-instrumental record that wouldn't necessarily be able to be
Sometimes
reproduced.
it's just song by song too, where like Come Give Me the Creeps, you always had a horn part in mind for that song pretty
Right.
early after you wrote it. So a bunch of the newer songs we're going in to record at some point, you don't have a bunch of like horn parts ready. The purpose of the song doesn't need them or whatever. So sometimes it's just like, well, we're here in the studio and it's an instrument in itself in a way, so let's play it and like make it sound like we want to and make those sounds we're hearing in our heads, and then do as much as we can live to have fun and make it sound good.
Well, there was a quote on your Bandcamp page from Steve Baker, which I'd like to read.
No.
Smart, melodic, noisy, energetic. Turn it up real loud. This is going on my 2024 best of list for sure.
And it did. He did.
We checked.
He is true to his word, that Steve.
So you've got artists like Steve that you're close to, bands like Redshift Headlights, Steve McCabe, obviously. Chris, you've got a connection with them. You're the Redshift Headlights drummer.
Yep.
Which was that a position you took last year, or was it
Maybe
prior
a
to
couple
that?
years ago now, something like that. I sat in with them for a couple different shows when we actually played with them in Oshkosh. I just sat in and played like some auxiliary drums with them, whatever. Their drummer ended up leaving. They had a second drummer in there, and then eventually cycled off to me. Thanks, guys. Picked me up on the open market.
Was the hiring process pretty strenuous?
Once nobody else was available.
You got a headhunter.
Yeah. No. So then it was maybe about 2 years ago or something like that. I started playing with them full time. So
And that allowed for you guys to do some split sets with those guys.
Yes.
Which I saw you guys at the Fox River House. That was a cool show.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a lot of work for him.
I love it personally because I can set my drums up and not have to touch them again. So it's easy. At break, I can actually go and break and hang out, have a beer, and talk to people instead of
Double drink tickets, right?
That too, yes.
Did you get double drink tickets?
I think I did, actually.
Wow.
I think somebody once questioned, like, do you need them all? I'm like, I earned them all.
Did you see me on them drums?
Yeah, did you see that? No, but those guys are the sweetest guys, and we all get along really
Except for
well.
Jay.
So.
Nobody really likes Jay.
Except for Jay. Sneaky. Mean guy. Mean.
Sneaky and mean. Yeah.
No, they're lovely people. I love them all dearly. And, so we got to do some stuff with them, and it's super fun when we can.
Yeah, Jay actually came through in the clutch at the end because I had the design for the funeral album cover, but didn't really have any understanding of like how to send that to a printing house or whatever, and so he just kind of
You designed that.
bumped everything into the right spots. And
Did you draw that, or did
the
you?
New Yorker thing?
Cover.
So it's supposed to look like a New Yorker cartoon. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that. I drew that.
Yeah, and Free Dirt is in the grave. Which are the other two people supposed to be anybody?
The guy who's attending the funeral is Ridley.
So you guys have a pretty close relationship with Ridley, obviously.
So
He didn't know we did this to him.
To go back, no, I told him. As soon as I drew that, because I thought it was funny, I sent it to him, and I was like, hey, check this out. It's this little buddy you, but now he's got that massive beard.
Yeah, that's the big
And I have to
news.
scribble it onto everybody's
Should we be telling people?
tonight.
Although you put it on the internet.
Let's save it for him to tell.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite track on the album is No Reason to Cry.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
I don't know what I like about it. It just sounds like a track I could listen to over and over again. Can you tell me how that one came about?
It's the stupidest story. I agree. It turned out really great. I started writing that one, so you may or may not be aware of the fact that there is a Blueheels song that is called Reason to Cry. So No Reason to Cry. The songwriting exercise that I was engaging in was I was trying to write the opposite lyrics to that Blueheels song for some reason. So, for example, the opening lyric to the Blueheels song is cross your fingers, and the opening lyrics to No Reason to Cry are uncross your fingers. So it's very, very dumb, but it turned into a song that I think we all really like. Kaylee Conway came in and just laid glory all over the thing.
Amazing.
And yeah, I think it's absolutely a standout track as well. But humble beginnings.
Well, I think the Easter eggs too, the Blueheels connection is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the last song I took a note that I wanted to ask you about was Angeline. Because it's when you put somebody's name on a song.
It's nobody. It's gibberish. One of the horn players was actually calling it Angelique in the sessions, and I was like, man, I wish I
want to
had
change
called
it.
Now, that story
Way
was
too late.
That story was a letdown.
I mean, the name has changed, but the concepts and the ideas in the song are based around real life.
Well, it's got
to
like
protect the innocent.
It had like an
names change.
old-fashioned kind of sound to parts of it, so I thought maybe that had a tie-in with the name of the person the song was about. So I guess it's not. It's just gibberish.
Plucked from the trash bin. Got any more questions?
What else you got?
But we got a question earlier, and again, if people have a question, please call in or leave it in the chat. You guys are happy to answer anything, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's probably Bricko asking why I don't take guitar lessons.
Yeah, if it's that. We'll answer.
Well, here it is. You may want to put the headphones on. Let's see.
Hi, this is Brick Justopperson. I have a question for Robbie from Free Dirt. At the last show at the Stone Arch performance, there was an audience member who suggested that Robbie take guitar lessons. I'm just calling in to ask if he has. Thank you.
That's a pretty serious question there. Do you start taking guitar lessons?
That was only a couple weeks ago. In fairness, there's got a child and a full-time job, harkening back to the original commentary.
So this sounds like a story
This
here.
is a running gag ever since the very first time he ever saw us play. He will just what
He ribs you.
yeah he does some
He
good
gives you the
natured
business.
heckling from the audience.
Also,
Usually
Justin's the one that
something
said
creative, like along the lines
Yeah.
of how about some guitar lessons.
Well, yeah, except for this last time at the Stone Arch, he was like 8 inches from us, so it really hit home.
Yeah, the pickups picked it up.
Yeah, it was running through the PA.
It went through delay.
Yes. Nothing like starting us off right, Justin. We appreciate
Does
it.
does that kind of thing throw you off your game?
No, because I mean I know it's someone that I love and it's someone who's like joking around with me.
But are
and
you ever wondering if the crowd is thinking like some person
I
is
think
heckling?
that's funny too. So it's just win-win. Yeah, if the crowd like goes home and they're like, "Yeah, I saw a pretty fun show, but there's just this guy in the front who was really terrible to that poor guitar player." I mean, I know he wasn't all that good, but
First song, too.
first song, yeah, it was. Maybe even before we started. playing this time around.
He said,
he
I
waited
think
for
I'm going
one.
to start right away, right after the first song.
Yeah.
So, Robbie, did you ever have guitar lessons as a kid, or how did you learn how to play?
So, when I was really young, I wanted to play the drums. Like 5 years old, I wanted to play the drums. And so my parents said that I needed to take piano lessons before I could take drum lessons. So it took like 2 years of piano. And then as soon as I could take drum lessons, I quickly forgot all of the ability to play piano. Forced it out of my brain with excessive drug use and alcoholism.
As a 6-year-old?
As a 7-year-old at this point.
Holy molasses.
Explain some things.
Yeah.
So then I started playing drums, and immediately I wanted to like be in bands. I didn't even really take drum lessons because my parents signed me up for like percussion lessons, like if I was going to be in an orchestra. So I was learning how to play tune the timpani on the fly and play the marimba and stuff. And I wanted to, be in the Descendants or whatever.
You had the Smurfs drum set, though. Did you mention
I did
the
have
Smurfs
this.
drum set?
I had that was my first drum set when I was actually 5 years old.
Smurfs drum set.
Smurfs drum set from Sears, and I would sit in the basement and just listen to the radio and pound away like all day, and then I would play the drums. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. So I was playing drums in bands, and I got like, I was like 12, 13 years old, and the people I was playing with, like, we all barely knew how to play our instruments. So when it came time to like write songs, we would put chords together, and I remember this, we had a talent show and there was no singer in our band, and we just picked one of our friends randomly, and he was like, "Well, I don't know how to sing." And we were like, "Just all you have to do is yell," like, because it was the 90s and stuff. And and so I would like, eventually I started working on songs with the people who I was in bands with, and eventually I started like singing them, like ideas that I had to them. And a very good friend of mine who I was in a band with was like, "You should like learn the guitar and start writing some songs." And so he taught me my first 2 chords on guitar, and that's Dan, and he still comes to Free Dirt
Dan.
shows. Dan's the best.
Those are the last 2 chords you ever learned.
If you use a capo.
Slide up.
Well, and for people I don't know, Justin is in the Blueheels as well. So,
Yep.
When was that show that you guys are playing?
I don't know.
He's trying to sneak that in.
I legitimately do
For a
not
second
know.
there, I thought I was going to get it out
I
of you.
saw an almost reaction.
See, the funny thing about me is that I don't even know when our next show is.
Today.
We'll let you
Oh,
tonight.
God.
What a perfect time for a plug.
It's tonight at Cranky Pat's.
Tonight? It is tonight.
With
yes.
Poor Ridley. Full band.
Full band.
Full bands, full beards.
And that's, of course, 9 p.m. with Poor Ridley. $12 will get you in the door, which to see a show at Cranky Pat's, you can't go wrong at Cranky Pat's.
No.
Good music.
It's a good
Food's
time.
amazing. Atmosphere is impeccable. It's like a time capsule of what it was. Basically, I'm from Neenah, so my entire life, Cranky Pat's has been this staple.
We had a question here from Bob Minter. In my many travels across the land, once in a while I would spot a free dirt sign in a field. Have you ever demanded restitution for such blatant copyright infringement?
Well, I can't because that's where I got the idea for the name of the band, was from a random sign that said free dirt. And yeah,
Have you run into any issues with any other bands called Free Dirt?
we outlasted them. There were 2 when we
Nice.
started.
And a record company.
And yeah,
as well
I think
too.
that might
They
still
still
exist.
exist. They should.
They
sign
don't
us
return our calls.
If you're out there. Which camera do I look into?
All of them at
Listen
once.
to yeah. Sign us. Yeah. So it was 2, and then we used to just say we are a band called Free Dirt.
Yeah, for
Out of
many years
respect
we would
for
say
them.
we are one of the bands called Free Dirt.
And then we outlasted them. We also used to say that we sound like this on purpose.
Yeah.
We should bring that back.
We do still sound how we sound on purpose. Maybe I'll say it tonight.
So you were actively keeping tabs on the other Free Dirt bands, and then threw a celebration once the other ones disbanded.
We were not unhappy that they're gone, I would say, I guess.
We didn't play a role in their defeat.
No.
Unless they saw how awesome we were and were like, well, aw shucks.
Would you get tagged in their Facebook posts and things like that?
No, nothing like that. It seemed like one of them hadn't been active for a number of years, and then there was another one out in California, and I actually got in touch with them and was like, hey, I dig your band. Like, you guys are pretty cool. Hey, isn't it funny our names are the same?
I think at one point we were talking about doing an event where we invited
Where
all
the
of
bands,
the Free Dirt
the
bands
Free Dirt
together
off.
for one of our events and just battle it
fight
out.
'em.
Whoever wins gets the name.
That's interesting because like nowadays you've got the 2 Dusks. You've got Dusk down here, the Metal Dusk up in
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Yep.
The internet's really opened it up for finding out other band names, which in the past would be like, who cares?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Dusk from here should become a metal band, personally.
There's still
They
time
keep
to evolve.
teasing it.
There's time to evolve.
Just
Drop
dive
those
in.
D's on those SGs.
Dang.
That's all right.
Yeah, that locked and loaded.
Safe for radio.
Are there any songs, Robbie, that are hard to play on the guitar and sing?
I can answer that for him as someone that plays guitar. Yeah. As someone that, like, I can play guitar pretty well, but what he can do and sing and play at the same time sometimes is pretty mind-blowing to me. Like, separation of brain rhythm and finger rhythms is pretty impressive. I don't know what your actual answer would be for what song, but I watch all the time, like, how in the world are you playing that part and singing? And I can't play my, like, simple part and
You need
sing at the
guitar
same-
lessons,
I
sounds
need
like.
guitar and singing lessons.
Well, that's very, very kind of you.
Yeah.
But there are always, I think people are just wired certain ways. I've always kind of been interested in having like counter melody and the guitar not necessarily always just being like a strumming pattern. Just to add interest. And like I said, I love harmony and like musical counterpoints and stuff like that. So I would do some kind of more complex rhythmic stuff from the beginning.
I think playing drums is probably the big basis of you being able to do a lot of it, is because you're very limb independent when you play drums, and I think that probably really helps.
And
overall.
I think very rhythmically. Like I think of rhythm as like something that I say in my own head, and I don't know exactly whether it makes sense or not, but I'd say rhythm is melody.
You
Like
should hear him chop vegetables.
it's like
crazy.
It's like opera.
Yeah.
But I just feel I feel like the rhythm of what you play can be as important or more important as the notes or the cadence of what you play. You know, not just the straight like tempo or whatever. When I say rhythm, I mean like the syncopation choices that you're making and stuff like
The
that.
push and pull, whatever.
Yeah. Surprises. I like for there to be surprises. And there aren't a lot of surprises if you're just strumming a G chord, which I will definitely do tonight.
Come on.
Promise. I promise I will strum a G chord.
And Chris, when did you start playing the drums?
I think I was 14, something like that. Similar situation to I think what you were talking about. A friend of mine, actually fellow bandmate of Robbie's, Adam Cargan. We were sitting at the lunch table together, and he just turned and he was
like, check this out.
basically, I was playing with some pencils, I think, and he was like,
tub of mayo.
yeah, you should buy a drum set, and you should be my drummer. So that's what we did. I went down to Electric City Music in Kaukauna. Remember that one many, many years ago, and got a kit. Funny enough, we got the kit when my parents were at work because they didn't know that I was playing the drums. I don't know if they were like not stoked.
They
about
still
it or
don't
whatever.
know.
They don't know. I hide it from them. Mom and Dad. They don't actually have the internet, so they won't know about this either.
What is that banging
But
sound?
the yeah, so I got the drums, played them, set them up when they were at work, tore them down when they weren't, and then eventually I'm like, what am I doing here? And then I just set them up, and all was well. They're like, it's drums, yeah. Secret drummer became full-time drummer. So yeah, I was like 14, and I played with Adam when I was in high school, and then just went up from there. So
They look under
Adam
their
Cargan.
snares and there's 12 snare drums.
no,
for some
not
reason.
that.
That's now.
I would love that. Yeah, it was always my dream.
Adam Cargan, incidentally, who went on to become the drummer of Blueheels.
Yep.
See, Blueheels keeps coming up in this conversation.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, August 12th. I'm just gonna put out some dates. Yeah.
Joe, when did you start playing baritone, and can you explain what the difference is between baritone and guitar and bass?
Yeah, so I started playing music on bass guitar actually as an 11-year-old. Got bored. Also didn't quite understand how to play the bass. I knew how to play the notes and started stealing my brother's electric guitar, and for years I just played like lead electric or whatever. And then I happened to buy a baritone just because I was like, oh, I'd owned a bass 6 before, and I was like, oh, let's try out a different guitar basically. And right around that time that I bought it, they had started getting together, and so I came to jam with them one night, and I brought a little amp with me, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, but it can't be the bass. I don't remember why we thought. I think I was like, if I put this in a bigger amp, this maybe could be a bass, and us three could just play as a 3-piece or whatever. And then I had this giant cabinet, and I brought that, and that big old cabinet really does a huge service to giving actual low end when we're playing. So the baritone guitar is 6 strings, and it's tuned to low B, so it's just tuned lower than a regular guitar, strung the same.
Shout out Lobie.
Shout out to Lobie from Milwaukee. So it's basically like playing an alternate tuning. It's 6 strings, so if I'm playing a G shape, it's a D. Or if I play an open E shape, it's a B major. But it's a cool instrument because it does a pretty great job as a bass. But then if I've got a handy finger or two, I can play a chord or play a lead part or whatever. It gives a lot of versatility that a bass doesn't give, and it makes it honestly just more fun for me than just playing bass. And there are parts where I can just play and he can stop playing, and it can almost sound like there's a bass and a guitar depending on what the part is like.
Oh,
or
for
whatever.
sure.
So
A lot of the time, I think when people come up to me after a show or whatever, and they're like, I love this part, or like in a song that we recorded, they'll be like, I love that part that you played. I'll be like, I don't know. I think that's probably
Just
Joe's
take
baritone.
it. They don't need to
yeah, just say thanks, dude.
You guys do a festival called the Dirt Camp Festival, and it started in 2023, did it again in 2024. Is this going to be a thing that just keeps on going?
We could tell them the date for this year.
Yeah.
We should do it.
We can
Yes,
announce
sir.
the date. This is an exclusive.
Let's see if I remember it. You want to play that game?
Do you have a dump button?
Dirt Camp is
Cut away. We'll be back in a moment.
June 28th.
Yeah, June 28th.
June 28th.
It's in right outside of Sauk City, Wisconsin, which is 30 minutes from Madison, if that.
Yeah,
And
it's a little under 30 for
Yeah,
Madison.
it's this really cool spot. It's a vineyard that overlooks 2 lakes, so you're like on top of a hill, and then people literally like will lay in the vineyards while listening to music and like read. The way we started doing it is we played a show out there. Our friend Greg, who owns the place, invited us to play with Cribshitter. We played, and we kind of were like, "Whoa, this place is beautiful. Let's have a festival just so we can like bring our buddies out here and like show them how pretty it is, and we can play a bunch of music."
And camp.
And camp, yeah.
It's not.
Such a great camping
Dirt
spot.
Camp's not just a clever name.
It'd be good without.
It might
music
not
to
even
camp.
be a clever
Yeah.
name.
So is it just one night of music then?
Yeah.
It is, yep. It's 2 p.m. until midnight, basically, on Saturday, the 28th of June.
Do you know, besides the Blueheels, who's going to play this year?
That would be fun.
It's rolled around in my head.
I'm no Sassman. I'm not pulling double duty.
Yeah. We do have a couple artists locked in. Is that something that we want to talk about?
I think we could talk about Wishbone Breakers.
Sure.
who-
Oh yeah,
Sure.
because you got Wishbone Breakers coming on the show next week, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
was that a secret?
No.
Oh,
Crow Family has been at the first two in general, and so it's nice to keep it in the family and love the music. Excited that they're playing out more. It feels like they hadn't been playing out quite as much, and now they're
yeah,
ramping
they
it
got
up.
a record.
New
coming,
record
too.
coming
Yeah,
out.
super excited.
April 1st.
Dang.
Buy that one if you
yeah.
don't buy
It's
this
not a
one.
joke.
It's not
No,
a joke.
it's not, but I wasn't sure.
Buy
But
both of them.
He told me that it was then.
So I think they're actually probably kicking things off that day, which will be super fun. We'll see. We haven't nailed down the schedule, but might be. Yeah. So don't
Probably,
be
yeah.
late.
I think we also could make the other Appleton announcement. Maybe wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to throw it out. We do also have Julia Blair playing that event too. It's not that far from Appleton to come down for this event. So if you want to support,
People do it all the time.
You want to support some Fox Cities artists, this would be a great spot to come down and do so.
Yeah, it's a super fun time, like kind of untouchable setting.
Family friendly too. Like I've got a 9 and 6 year old, and they'll come, and it's a great place to be in general. And it's actually kind of nice if you do have kids, because it's a place you can go see music during the day, and if you don't want to be right up close, you don't have to be. You can wander around with your kid or whatever. Like it's a really nice just environment to be in.
Yeah.
Probably like walkable. There's probably something like 10 to 20 acres immediately right there. That
Yeah.
are all some trails.
It's like a mixture of mostly wooded, honestly. So you're not like out in the blasting sun in a field all day. Like it's a very just pleasant place to be.
Do you sell tickets in advance for that?
We do. We'll have a
Yep.
link up online.
All
you can
of them.
check out all the information on Instagram, Dirt Camp Fest. Instagram.com/DirtCampFest. And we'll be uploading new information there soon, but we hadn't announced the date until literally right now.
or any artists.
Or
Yeah.
any artist. So that'll be all up on
3
there.
scoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, exclusive.
You got scooped.
More than Raisin Bran.
I had a note here I forgot to look at before that. Robbie, you grew up listening to your dad's Merle Haggard albums. So, I mean, what kind of music?
Wait, where did you get that?
I don't know, I got it from
What are
somewhere.
you, Nardwar?
My dad had Big Girls Don't Cry on 8-track. And he had the narrated version of the Star Wars soundtrack. I think those were the two things that I listened to the most.
I did not know that part.
Until there was "Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who was on the other side of "Big Girls Don't Cry." So sometimes, if I wanted to listen to "Big Girls Don't Cry" twice, but I didn't want to have to rewind it, I'd flip it over.
Do the flip.
Listen to it.
Let it do the rewind for you.
Is that how 8-tracks even?
I
work?
don't know.
remember.
Probably.
We
That's
could-
a lie.
I don't know what yours was, but
Merle Haggard records. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. My dad wasn't a huge Merle guy. He liked
The internet's
Paul
not
Revere and
always
the Raiders. We liked
Yeah.
CCR a lot. That was a good one as a kid. But yeah, that same buddy of mine who taught me my first 2 guitar chords, his dad was a country singer. His name's Walt Wright, and he had a thing back in the 70s called Straight from the Hip. And one day, me and Denon found one of those cassette tapes of Straight from the Hip, and it was full band songs on one side, and then his dad just doing solo tunes on the other side, and it's still among the best country music I've ever heard in my life. And it was the first country music that I ever heard where I was like, this is actually like really cool and has power. I didn't understand it before that, and in like 12-year-old punk circles at that time, you weren't like talking about Merle Haggard. Now I think yes. I think the punk kids are into the country music. Oh my gosh, every punk kid's got a cowboy hat now.
Skibbity toilet this, Merle Haggard that.
Merle Haggard.
Skibbity Glenn Campbell.
Sassman, you were into stained glass. I just learned about an hour ago.
Yeah. That's part
That's a
of
hard segue.
but I'm ready for it. It's okay. You're right in my wheelhouse.
He's throwing curveball.
Yeah,
after
I'm
curveball.
ready. You're just grabbing them. Yeah, I bought some stained glass on the way up here. Shout out to Tim on the south side of Appleton.
That's like a funny way to ask if someone grew up Catholic. So you're pretty into stained glass,
I
huh?
am every Sunday.
Yeah. I think if
Good
you know what I
Lord.
mean.
Couple hours a week for sure. Wednesdays as well too. Catechism. Yeah, no, a lot of it is because for rehearsal space for Vibe, but also for these events that we do. We do an event in Madison over Labor Day weekend called the Dig In, and then we do this other event on Sauk City, and we use them to decorate
Camp.
Dirt Camp. We decorate the stage with all these different stained glass pieces. So
If the stage doesn't look like Grandma's living room, we don't want to play it.
my girlfriend harassed me a fair amount on the way out the door as we came up here, calling me grandma as I was leaving. So I didn't feel really good today. I was feeling kind of bad. I'm hoping my guys can build me up.
You're the world's best grandma.
You're doing a great job
I'm a
buying
good
lamps.
grandma. I'm a pretty good grandma. So anyway, yeah, I love it, love hanging it, love doing it. It's good. Stage design. Yeah.
So, Joe, you're not from the Fox Cities area?
No.
But, so, Robbie and Joe, you guys have been up in this scene, or I'm sorry, Robbie and Chris, you guys have been up in this scene, and you're down in the Madison scene now. How is the Madison scene different from up here? Because down there, you get the college kids kind of flowing in and out. I'm sure bands are
Hopefully not.
coming and going.
I would if they wanted to come see us, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. That one time all the college kids with the wizard hats came and saw us. That was great.
We played at a venue. There was like 6 or 8, whatever, maybe a group of 10, all dressed as scarecrows. They looked
they
like
were
wizard hats, but they were
scarecrows.
scarecrows. A Halloween show, and they were standing in front and loving our music. We were loving it. It was great. And then some people asked them to go and please sit down so that they could see the band. And my soul was
And
just
they
crushed.
left.
So was theirs, and then they left.
Someone asked
that
them
was
to
the
sit down, and
closest.
then they left.
That was the closest.
I
Connection
actually
to
think
college
I can
kids.
answer this pretty well because I didn't grow up here and have observed both music scenes a lot. I played in a band before this band, and we'd play the Fox Valley some.
What was the name of that band?
Little Legend, and actually Robbie was in that band as well. And
we played Mile a couple times.
yeah, we played Mile some, and I still like this is almost like it was gonna feel like a Madison slam, but it's not. People come out to shows and pay attention more in the Fox Valley than they do in Madison, and it's interesting to observe the like veracity for live music here that I don't really see in the same way in Madison for not just our band. It's not like, well, we're getting shadow banned. It's other good bands who are friends of ours or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. It's just hard to get people to come out. I think there's a lot going on. I don't know what the reason is, but that would be the difference I have observed is you can have 5 bands a night and 5 bands in a week and people will come out or whatever.
Well, I mean, I'll say from the perspective of growing up here, like when I was a fairly typical like punker kid who just wanted to rebel against everything and like couldn't wait to get out of here. Like I moved away from the Fox Valley as soon as I graduated high school, and like couldn't wait to get out. And I moved to another town, and I won't just needlessly drag the other town that I moved to, but it was like a bigger city, and I was like, okay, I can't wait to like plug into the music scene. And I just still to this day I feel like the music, the bands that I grew up with, the people that were playing when I was growing up, and when Blueheels started playing, and still like to this day, like there's something really special about the music scene of the Fox Valley. And I don't know what it has to do with, but I expected that when I left I would find that or better things everywhere else, and I haven't.
I agree with that too.
I agree with
and
Joe.
I'm not from here
There's
either.
just I don't know if it's because people are bored or like there's like nothing else to do, so like you really put yourself into your art.
They got TV, don't they?
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
people are doing instead of coming to shows in Madison. They watch TV.
You're watching Severance.
Yeah,
Do you watch Severance?
I started it. Joe
I liked the
watches
first
it.
season a lot. I'll watch the second season when I have the time. Get off my back.
Drop down DVD.
So what's the best Free Dirt show so far? Do you guys all share the same
The one tonight.
Yes.
shows that besides the Time Machine show? What show? I'm curious if you all have the same show as
I don't
the
think
best
we would.
show.
I don't think any of us are very sentimental about shows. Honestly, for me, the show happens, and if it goes well, it's kind of just gone from my brain. Like, unless it was
If
bad.
it goes poorly, then you're like, oh, I remember that one.
Exactly. And luckily, it doesn't go poorly often, but it's often like, that was good, that was good, that was good. But I'm not super sentimental about the actual show. I get sentimental about like buddies I see sometimes at shows and stuff like that, or like, oh, that was the night they were there and we got to hang out a bunch. And I love
There
playing.
have been some great Fox River House shows.
Yeah,
Like
Fox River
that,
House.
Fox
where, like,
River
we
House
play very
shows,
well,
yeah.
and it's
Yep.
that combination of everything. It's like
Actually,
tons
yeah.
of people were just so happy to see.
That's probably my
and
answer
play
if we had
really
to have
well.
an answer.
Yeah.
First or second time we played at Fox River House was high for me. Dirt Camp the first time,
Yeah.
definitely.
First.
And actually, one random other one we used to play at the Short Branch, and I loved it because we'd get hired to play the whole night, which we would love to do more of.
Talk about the COVID show.
Yeah.
Was it a COVID show?
It was a show.
yes,
Our very
it was.
last-
It was, yes. Right before we went into
It
eternal
was Saturday
hibernation.
the 14th.
Yes, it was. And we decided to push
March
through and do the
2021.
show, and I think that was one of the nights that we played all night, and by the time that we were halfway through, we were feeling pretty frothed up and feeling great. And we got to play, like 50 songs, so it was just a blast. It was 3 sets. Yeah, we played. We played like maybe 40, but we played a lot of songs. We played all night, and it was a blast. And that room actually sounded great and was so much fun. I don't think they do anything in there anymore, but those are my highs.
I agree with that.
Dirt camp for sure is hard to avoid because we put an extreme amount of blood, sweat, and tears into that, literally, and so by the time it was all done, we finally got to do our set. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cried, happy and sad.
Do you guys
Both kinds.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite track on the new album?
I have such a hard time. I think All Mine. I would say All Mine's
That's probably
mine.
my favorite track too.
Ooh.
Yep.
But I don't know. You could ask me tomorrow, and I might say something else.
The one, honestly, the one that I'm happiest to hear when it comes on, whatever that means, is Holy Buckets.
Huh.
I just love the way that one shook out and how much of a party vibe there is from the opening seconds of it. It's just like, what is going on? And it's all these different kind of like elements with all this counterplay and stuff like that. And it came together. And that was one that like all of us were really skeptical on right up until it was
the
done.
last mix, basically.
And
There
then when it
mix
was
issues,
done,
yeah.
we were like, oh, okay, there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
So that one, I come back to that one a lot. I like it.
Campaign Promises literally makes me
Campaign
fist pump.
Promises.
Like
That's
sometimes alone, I'll be like in headphones, like during the end of it because it's just like ripping. Yeah, I love that part.
What were the lyrics of Campaign Promises about?
What are they about?
Yeah.
I mean, it is about politics.
Do you have your lyrics anywhere, like
opening
printed
line.
anywhere?
They're printed in the records and in the CDs.
It
yes.
is on the inside, yep, and on the vinyl as well too, yep.
Did you? Oh, you just got that. I was like, you got an unopened CD.
I handed him that on the way in.
That's not a good sign, but you just got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you guys have you do have vinyl out that people can purchase on your Bandcamp
Of this
page.
album,
Yep.
yes,
We'll have
and
it at
we'll
the
have
show
it
tonight.
tonight at the show
Yep.
as
But
well.
yeah,
Yep.
it's on Bandcamp.
Has the vinyl been selling pretty well?
Yeah,
so far.
we've had a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
think
people
so.
buy it.
Good numbers on pre-sales. Listen to me.
What about CDs? Have you noticed a downward trend in CDs?
People still buy CDs from us, at least.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people that have bought some of the first albums and CDs are buddies of ours, and so I'm like, oh, they have a CD player. Like I can kind of be like, oh, that's a CD person, that's a vinyl person. It's funny. I found it interesting because we listened to this thing too much and kind of got a little like hard to listen to, not because we didn't like it, but hard to like be like listening critically versus listening to enjoy. And the first time I listened on vinyl, it was like, whoa, like listening to it sounded like wider, like it was a different experience in a really fun way that was less critical feeling, not just because I was done listening critically, because it sounded different and a new experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a very similar experience first time hearing it on vinyl. It was just like all the fatigue and all the like that, like you live next to a waterfall, you stop hearing it eventually. So we'd like put it on and it just sounded like nothing. But yeah, the record really brought it back to life for me.
Before I forget, I wanted to talk about the Campaign Promises thing because you were asking about the lyrics being written. If I remember correctly, that was written during the last election.
I wrote that about the last time Trump was on the table.
Correct. And so then COVID got interjected, and funny enough, by the time we were ready to release that song, it came around to round 2. Boy, were we excited.
Whoops. But yeah, that one, the lyric, I can spill enough blood to paint every house in town is, I think, one of my favorite lyrics I've ever written. And it's kind of funny to me. Like, again, it has that element. The first line in that song is a Mao quote. I'll break your bodies and grind your bones into dust. But then I added the element of snorting it afterwards. Or smoking it.
Smoking it. I was going to say, this is a family show.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
So what do you guys have planned up next? You just released an album. Obviously, you're going to win a Whammy, probably.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so. But I think they did.
We did
reach
get
out.
nominated
Yeah,
for
we got
something.
nominated for.
I don't remember what it was.
Don't know what
I might
it was.
win baritone guitar player because I think I'm the only
The
one.
only one?
nominated.
Boy,
Right
we will,
in. Yeah.
we will hang it up
listening
that day.
Best and worst.
Peak of our careers.
What do we got planned? We're working on a ton of new material, actually. Some that we're playing tonight. Some that maybe someday we'll record.
So you've already started the process of...
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. We've got Part of that was also COVID. It put such a big delay in us releasing music
We're
that
constantly working with a backlog.
yeah, so we're working with songs Robbie had written that we've heard little pieces of but never had a chance to do anything with, and we released the record and eventually came back to. So now we're kind of circling back to a lot of ideas from the last 4 to 6 years. Some are quite old, actually.
Yeah.
From the original time we got together, one of them, and then everything from then till now. So working on new material, and then we have some shows coming up as well too.
Make that music video.
Yep.
We'll probably make a music video. We have a big idea for a music video.
That's why Ridley's on the cover.
And Ridley will be part of it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yep.
You're not supposed to announce your intentions, though.
No, too late.